The Democratic Party is the evilest organization in the history of the world. Since their inception in 1800, they've been the party of slavery, and after slavery, they became the party of the Confederacy. After that, they started killing black people during Jim Crow era. You're voting for a party that tells you they are going to abort children up to the 9th month, castrate little boys, and call them little girls, mutilate little girls and cut off their breasts and give them puberty blockers. And you don't think you're going to be held responsible? As we look at the Democratic Party and the chaos that they bring on our community, our young men, our young women, I have to ask you to look at what they've done to us. Look at what they've done to us. Look at what they've done to us. The Democratic Party is a death machine. Whatever they move, they destroy. That's what they do. They destroy. They decided to try to infiltrate the black community, and they didn't have any success until they met somebody. Who did they meet? Martin Luther King. And this is where we went wrong. He made sure that he brought the black vote to the Democratic Party. They used the black vote to commandeer the most powerful country in the world. He who the Son has freed is free indeed. Once you accept him, you are free. Anybody in the Democratic Party that tells you any different, he's a liar, he's an apostate, he's an affront to God, and he should be rejected by any Christian walking on this earth. And he's inviting you to go to hell with him. Don't go with him. Don't go.
Don't go. Guys, good morning. Welcome to Monday. Happy Monday. Excited to have my co-host Jarrett back, and I got my voice cracking a little bit. I'm re-going through puberty again today. But, I think that was a great video to intro who our guest is coming up. We're going to have a great conversation today about, a lot of times, Jarrett, I feel like especially the Democrat Party likes to frame everything in breaking down people into as many people groups as possible, identity politics. And that's one of the things I love about having a white dude and a black dude on the morning show. And us doing this together and us being brothers in Christ, first of all. And I love the fact that our guest coming up, Dr. Kevin McGary, I'm excited to have him because that's one of his pillars that I seem to understand from conversations and everything I've had with him is everyone, the liberals like to frame it in there's a there's a black people group and a white people group, and we're different races and we're all just one human race, and we need to learn to love each other and accept each other and understand the plot of the enemy. And the Democrats and the leftists are being used as a tool of the enemy to separate and divide us and to, frankly, steal our God-given freedoms. And I think that that's one of the important things that we forget way too often is when you look at America and you look at our Constitution doesn't say these are the rights that you as citizens are allowed to have. What the Constitution says is these are the rights you as the government are allowed to have. And we have allowed them to usurp that authority and to trick us and to convince us into believing that there are overlords. And I think that that's one of the things that Dr. Kevin and Jared and I are going to talk about today, how they've taken that authority and said, hey, you as citizens, this is what you're allowed to have. And we're going to tell you, when reality is the power lies with us as the citizenry. We just need to step back into that rightful role, the God-given role, by the way. The Constitution says that this is a God-given right and a God-given role, and we're to take that authority back from the government that has been taken away. And this 2024 election, we have an election in less than 60 days, Jarrett. It's it's crazy how fast it's coming upon us, and this is probably the most important election of our lifetime. And I know we say that every single election year, but guess what? It's also true every single election year, and it's only getting more and more that way. And if we make the wrong choice, if we don't vote our values, if we don't vote our faith, we know the direction that our country is headed. And sure, Kamala hasn't come out and said, this is my platform. Actually, I believe this morning I just got a headline that said that she did. So we're going to be breaking that down later in this week as well. But for the longest time, she's avoided the media. She's avoided doing a press release or press announcement or any of those things. And the track record that she has can speak for itself. And so, Jarrett, I'm so excited to have you join us again this week. Fortunately, we were strategic and smart about the way we did our show last week. So, Jarrett, you only actually missed 2 days, but yeah, awesome to have you back, brother.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be back, guys. I was summoned to jury duty, and I got to say one thing: you should do it if you get called for jury duty. It's funny when I told my daughter, and she goes, "Well, how are you gonna get out of it?" I'm like, "I'm not." So she's like in high school thinking, "Oh, the thing is, you're supposed to get out of it." No, I went and served, and because my parents were big on instilling the importance of doing your civic duties. We all do it. My brother does it, and I take it as this: if I don't go and do this, we have liberal people there who say anyone who commits a crime is innocent. And then we have some hardcore people there who anyone who's arrested is guilty. And, justice should be blind. So I go in there and look at the facts, and that's how I make my decision. I don't make it on race. I don't make it on gender. I don't make it on any of the other crap that a lot of people are doing, because that's not how justice works. And Mike, I'm so happy to be back to talk about this great topic. This is my wheelhouse. I love this. What we're going to talk about today is necessary to talk about. And again, I'm just glad to be back. I missed it. Yeah, we're a great team. I have so much fun in the morning. It really sets off my day. And all you people tuning in and commenting, love that you guys do that. I missed you guys too. So if tell me how your week went, drop something in the comment. I'd love to catch up with you guys. But Mike, I'm so happy to be back. And but again, I will go to jury duty again, even though it's an inconvenience. It takes a lot of your time. You should always stand up for your civic duty, because these principles, these duties could be taken away from you if you don't stand up for them.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jarrett. And you guys, if you're out there, help us to spread the truth about faith, family, and freedom. Let's make this year about voting our values and voting our faith. In one simple way you can do that, and Darius, if we can look at the comments too. One simple way y'all can do that is just by going and sharing our content, liking, subscribing, sending this to somebody that you think would enjoy hearing this, you think would love this content. And quick shout out to Timothy. Good morning, Timothy. Appreciate you always being here, brother. So guys, also something, I don't mention this every show, but I want to bring it up today because I think it's important to help us get this message out. We have developed some merch that we think y'all will appreciate and love. And the first thing we've done is brought some shirts, and we got some hoodies and some sweatshirts and some mugs. Guys, go ahead and bring it up, Darius. This is an image of the shirt, the first shirt that we've developed here at 511 Media, brave, hated, and scorned. And then on the back, it is a quote from Mark Twain. In the beginning of a change, the patriot is a scarce man and brave and hated and scorned. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot. And it does. There is a cost to us standing up for what we believe in. There is a cost to fighting for our rights. And I do it not because I want to be on video. Frankly, I would rather not have to do this. But the calling and the importance of the future for all of you guys watching, all of our children, including all of your guys' children, the future of our country depends on many people doing many things, using their gifts that God's given them. In this case, for Jarrett and I, it's using our voice to loudly proclaim the kingdom and also continue to fight for our God-given rights in this country and push back against the tyranny of the left that is seeking to take those rights away. So you can support us by sharing our content or by going out and help supporting us by purchasing some of that merch. I think you guys will like it, and also continue to do so. Want to mention our longtime sponsor, Covenant Coffee. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Covenant Coffee, for everything you do, including supporting 511 and our mission, and frankly, what I consider a ministry of 511. And Jarrett, we should actually get into some of the ministries that 511 is involved in, because I think that it's easy for us to glance over that, but some of the things that we're actually doing here are making a difference in the world. But Covenant Coffee is making a difference as well. With the Emancipated Foster Youth, they are providing jobs, life skills, training, housing, and so much more. So go check them out online, covenantcoffee.org, or if you're in Bakersfield, across the street from us at Mohawk in California, or on North Chester. Also want to make a couple quick announcements. Number one is an event that Jared and I will both be at. Pretty much the entirety of our team. I'm not sure if our guest today is going to be at this event or not, but AmFest in Phoenix, Arizona, and I can see Dr. Kevin behind stage nodding his head, so he'll be there as well. I'm guessing Dr. Kevin might be speaking there, but guys, check out this video, and we're going to do an episode later this week about why you should go to AmFest. So go ahead and roll the video, Larry.
What you represent, your presence here, at the largest multi-day event in conservative grassroots history. Is a message that will be heard by these people. Phoenix, Arizona, people from all over the country.
It's remarkable because it brings everybody together. My favorite of the year.
Energy, Brett doesn't want you to see it. Stakes are high. We have only begun to fight.
And I know, Jarrett, we got to change out that video, bro. It's a new week, new Monday. Early bird registration is over, actually, but you guys still want to get out there. We're going to be doing some more promotions coming up around AmFest. So, guys, stay tuned on that. If you're going to AmFest or you want to go to AmFest, let us know in the comments. Just put AmFest in the comments, and if you want more info, we'll reach out to you about that as well. And guys, the other thing I want to mention is, and I'm going to let Jarrett do this one, the Blexit Night of Faith, which is coming up this weekend.
Yep, guys, you want to make sure you're here if you're in a tri-state area. Blexit Night of Faith happens all over the country, but the next one is in Philadelphia, PA. It takes place at In the Light Church from 5 to 7 p.m. On 9/14, this upcoming Saturday. I'm going to be there. Mike's going to be there. We had Madeline Brame, Pastor Lorenzo Sewall. You saw him at the RNC, and he killed it. I'm going to have some praise and worship. Pierre Wilson. We're doing some content as well. I'll be tabling. It's going to be a great time, guys. If you're interested in going, we'll drop the link in the comments, or you guys can reach out to us. It's going to be a great time. The 511 team's going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. You know, it's a great way to get back to the community, and we go in the heart of the city. You know, we go where other people don't like to go, because that's where the Lord is needed. So you guys are definitely going to have a good time.
That's awesome. Yeah, and guys, we'll see you there. Looking forward to it. But now is the time. I'm pleased to be able to introduce to you guys Dr. Kevin McGary. He's joined us on a panel before. He's spoken at many Turning Point and Blexit events. He is a fighter for the crusade, and really, frankly, the conservative answer to the BLM movement, among many, many other things, which we're going to get into today. Talk about everything Dr. Kevin's doing. Talk about his upcoming book, which I think y'all are going to love. So I can't wait to get my hands on the copy of the new book. I know Renata was a big fan of his previous book, so we're going to get a copy of that one as well. And if we have a link to drop for that, guys, let's make sure and do that. But I want to welcome co-founder of Every Black Life Matters, Dr. Kevin McGary.
Mike, Jarrett, man, so good to see you, brothers. Good to be back. Appreciate you.
Awesome, brother. Yeah, I'm glad to have you, pumped to have you, and I was really excited about the conversation we were having before the show started. That is one of the privileges I get is the backstage before the show starts to have a conversation with all of our guests. But um, Dr. Kevin, for those watching that don't know, tell us a little bit more about yourself, but beyond what I mentioned. And I know we got a kindred spirit with background in technology and IT, and you've been a successful business owner and entrepreneur. And I think there's so many more things that people don't see on the surface of what you're doing.
Great. Yeah. So I in the 1960s, I was born and raised in the Hunters Point public housing project in San Francisco. So, kind of a hoodlum kind of a guy, grew up in that kind of environment. But because my father came home every day, I didn't drop out of school. I stayed in school, got good grades. At the end of that time, decided to go to San Jose State because I had good grades, and so went to San Jose State, got a sociology degree. So I grew up in abject poverty, grew up in the streets, and went to San Jose State, steeped in socialism, Marxism, because I was a sociology major, and that's what they,
Yep.
that's fundamentally what they taught. And then met the love of my life now for 37 years. We've been married, and we decided to take God at His word, to just live strictly biblically. And from that time, we took a look at how we were participating in all these various domains, and realized that we had in the domain of civic engagement, we didn't apply kingdom to that. So we said, look, this issue here, because we were just going off family tradition, going off of sort of all of the ideas and ideologies of the community, and not principled kingdom principles to adding. We weren't adding kingdom principles to our civic engagement. So when we took a look at that, we said, oh, no problem. We'll go ahead and stop the participating with decimating our own community and decimating our faith. We'll start voting principally kingdom principles. And then that's when nobody came to us. Nobody asked us to join the Republican Party. Nobody asked us to become a conservative. We didn't care. We just wanted to do everything in accordance with what God would be pleased with. So we started voting that way. We recognize there's a lot of people of faith that doesn't happen to. The veil is still very much over their eyes. They're still very much going to vote Democrat any and every time. But for us, it was clear. God lifted the veil and gave us a pathway and said, this is not for you. And so from that, I've been writing books and speaking about things that are principally conservative. I'm not an ideologue. I'm not an ideological, Republican. I don't really care about the parties, quite honestly. But I do care about righteousness. I do care about faith. I do care about the principles of faith. So, because of that, that's why I vote the way I vote. But anyway, and then from that, fast forward, we had the riots of 2020, and we saw that BLM was tearing up our communities. BLM and their white supremacist brethren, Antifa, were tearing up our communities, burning down Black and brown businesses. And we thought, wow, this is really strange time in our history. And then what really put us over the edge was we had a lot of pastors, and especially Black pastors, is put BLM signs in the front edifice of their church. Were encouraging their parishioners to go out and participate with Black Lives Matter. And we said, look, this is crazy. So we decided to start an organization called Every Black Life Matters. We're illuminating the life issue, because of course, we all know that God is not a respecter of person. All lives matter. That's just a fact. God is God, and He's not a respecter of persons. So, but the bottom line is every Black life matters, because we're illuminating the fact that if we all believe that all lives matter, then why do we sit by silently as Planned Parenthood and all the other abortuaries specifically target, greatly disproportionately target the Black community for Black genocide? So why do we? It doesn't make any sense. Why do we sit aside? So what we're saying
I think it's crazy how most people don't realize this unless you're in the know. But that specific organization was actually founded on very, very racist terms, and really its primary goal in the beginning was to exterminate as many of the black population as possible.
Can we get a truth bomb for that? Can we drop a truth bomb on that?
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of people may not know I've written about Sanger extensively for the past. She's probably in every single one of my books. But yeah, she she's notorious for saying, look, we don't want the word to get out, but we want to thoroughly exterminate the Negro population. So she was just a virulent racist, but and eugenicist, and a lot of that's covered in my books. But so the point is that they literally started with the goal in mind to exterminate blacks disproportionately, and to this day we got 80 to 90% of all abortuaries within walking distance of black and brown communities. So their strategy hasn't changed, and yet we got so many people that are still supporting that that organization, or still supporting abortions generally. So we're saying every Black Life Matters too, TOO. So therefore, stop. Let's stand together against the abortuaries and Planned Parenthood, and say, stop targeting the black community. It's no longer acceptable. Right now, blacks are being born at this rate. Every other ethnicity in America is being born at this rate. Now, even if you're not a person of faith, and if you're just a moral person, okay, then that is completely immoral. That should be unacceptable for any and everybody that has a soul. Can you at least stop targeting the black community so we can at least be born at the same rate that every other ethnicity in America is? That's what we're saying. Every Black Life Matters too, TOO. And the same rule, the same rule applies to school choice. We got all of these other ethnicities that have the capacity, resources, and whatever to go to private schools and charter schools and all these other types of school platforms. But yet we got the black and brown community handcuffed and tethered to the public school system. That's diabolical. That literally is there to brainwash and destroy lives of those children. So we're saying, look, can we all agree that every Black life matters as it relates to school choice too? Can we all just say, look, parental rights from an educational perspective is important? We say fatherhood, same thing. Every Black life matters too. Can we all agree that we should try to connect our Black fathers back to their progeny so they can have a relationship and have an impact on those children? We say that free markets and capitalism are vitally important if we want to end the scourge of poverty, generational poverty, and those types of things. So you can go to the website, everyblm.com, but that's in general. Go there and support us, become a partner with us. We got some great stuff there. We have parental partnership programs and those types of things. So that's just a thumbnail of a little bit about me. I'm on my 8th book now, and so there's a number of books that have been written. You could just look under. You can go to Amazon and just type in Kevin McGary, and you'll get the litany of books.
Yeah, team. If we could put a link to that, that'd be great, guys. As we're talking.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up school choice. I'm a big supporter of school choice, and I do notice in a lot of urban communities, I travel all across the East Coast, that a lot of parents are against it. Why do you think a lot of parents in minority communities aren't for school choice? Is it the lack of education of what school choice can bring to their child, or is it the school system itself telling them that this won't work? Because when we go around in New Jersey and we're fighting for school choice here, there's a lot of parents who happen to be board of education members who fight against this like tooth and nail. They're saying these kids need better educations. We want to pull. Myself, my kids go to private school, so I was in an urban area. So I moved the kids to the next town over. We were living in the smallest house in the town because it was a better school district. Literally living in the shack until like 6 months ago, just so my kids could get out of the school district. And the shameful thing is, when we left in the urban school district, the teacher said, "This is great for you. This school will be better." And I was like, "Well, shouldn't you guys try to make your school like this other school?" And they were just stunned. Why do you think these issues are taking place in the brown and black communities?
Yeah, great question, Jarrett. Here's the reality: the strongest, the most well-funded union and lobby in the country is the teachers union, and because they have clout, power, money, they can overwhelm school districts, school boards, and all of our elected officials at every level, president on down. So they've done that. They've done that successfully for generations. And so So that's the main issue is we have a lot of clout, money, power, and influence on the other side. And they have influenced these black communities to tell them, no, you don't want school choice, because if you do that, then all the blacks will end up going to the private schools and there'll be no public school. No, that's completely illogical if you don't understand how private schools, charter schools, and all the other platforms work. The reality is once you introduce competition, then it actually increases all educational standards of excellence. So once the school district recognizes that they're going to have competition, they have to really fight for those children to keep them in that school. Then believe it or not, they'll if their future is at risk, they'll comport accordingly. So that's really what needs to happen. But we have a lot of people that have been deceived, and a lot of people are just plain ignorant about the issue, and so that's kind of what we're fighting.
Well, I know for our family, Dr. Kevin, we chose to homeschool because especially being in California and all of the, and there's a myriad of issues that we can get into, and one of the things that, like, as a side tangent for us, and I'm not sure that this get into this conversation, but RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has brought a lot of attention to the health factors and the injections that we give all of our kids. And that was a big reason for us why we didn't put them in public school and even private school, because even in California, even private schools, regardless of religious, personal, medical, no, you're taking this jab regardless. And so we're like, well, we're going to homeschool. On top of that, I mentioned to my wife yesterday, I said, this thing in Georgia is just another reminder of why we don't want to put our kids in schools. We want to be in charge of their educational endeavors, in charge of their educational, and that is our right, privilege, and responsibility as parents to do that. And not everybody can homeschool. I get that. Like Jarrett here, a single parent home, he doesn't have that choice. That choice is removed from the table, but he should still have a right to choose where his kids go to school. And this was Jarrett and I were having this conversation this morning, Dr. Kevin, about, that is where the government just fails on every level when they try to do anything that can be done as a private institution. Anything that doesn't need to be a public institution should be private. And I think that includes schools.
Absolutely. 100%. So that's a fight that we concerned parents and community leaders, we need to continue to fight that, because that's a big issue.
I had this question ever since we had the last call during the panel. Do you ever get any, what kind of backlash do you get from the BLM supporters for your name? Because I love everything your name stands for and everything your organization is doing, and you're literally the antithesis of, I gotta get that word wrong, of BLM. You're really from BLM, and I love everything you're doing. But what kind of reaction do you get from BLM leaders when you come across?
They can't argue. All we're saying is every Black life matters. I mean, does it matter to you, Mr. BLM? Oh yeah, bro. Okay, well, there's no beef here. We're just saying every Black life matters, and we're standing on the principles of that reality. So we don't get any backlash because it can't be argued otherwise.
Well, I think a lot of well-intentioned people, now the founders are excluded from this group, by the way, but a lot of well-intentioned people got pulled into the BLM movement, including people I know. I wouldn't necessarily call them friends, but people I know got pulled in because they're like, well, we care about the Black lives, and we do think that there is police brutality and criminal injustice and all of these things. And I agree, there are times where a bad apple messes up the apple cart, and I think that's a lot of the things you say too, Dr. Kevin. But it's not every one of them. In fact, it's not even a large percentage of them.
Right.
And upholding George Floyd as the example of what a Black America is supposed to be is so far removed from anything I think that they should be upholding serving as a role model. And Dr. Kevin, I think that kind of gets into the book that you're about to be releasing, which I can't recall the title, but I know the premise of it, and I love the direction you're going with it, because even though your organization is Every Black Life Matters, it's not a racial thing, just like Blexit is not a racial thing. When we get into it, yes, you have to have a starting point to start a conversation. I think that's a lot of reason that race gets brought into it, especially just, flat out fact, especially the Black communities raised in a typical Black American household, raised with, not, and most people don't, and I'm not faulting them for it, pay attention to policies and politics and all those things. Just, hey, you're Black, so you vote Democrat. Those typical people are going to receive more from you and Jarrett than they will from me, right?
Yeah, right, exactly right. So this next book goes into looking at an old quote from Malcolm X. Malcolm X, when he was giving a speech in 1963, he characterized and distinguished the forces within American politics, sort of the landscape of it. So, and so he characterized overlords, house Negroes, and field Negroes. And I'll explain those in a minute. But so the title of the book I'm writing now is Revealed, and then there's that. So then there's a colon, and then it says the archetypes of modern American politics: house Negroes, overlords, field Negroes. Which one are you? So the whole idea is, if you participate in American politics at all, you're covered under one of those, and it's inescapable. It's So let me explain what that means. Because I'm sure Jarrett gets some people trying to be snide, when they hide in their mama's basement and they don't have a picture on their profile, and they have a bunch of numbers and all that, and they just keep throwing these pejoratives, you a house Negro, whatever. So we need to understand what that is. That is a distinguished thing that Malcolm X helped popularize in 1963. He was able to do that based on the experiences on the plantation, the experiences of Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, and others that he had read about and had recognized. So here's the distinction. A house Negro is the one who lived in the house with the overlord, the master, okay? So these were typically lighter skinned because they didn't do the field work. They literally were at the beck and call of the overlord. So they were the ones who got the hand-me-down clothes, the nicer clothes, because they were handed down directly from the overlord. They got the best, most choice scraps off the table. When the overlord and his family finished eating, they give the house Negro the best scraps. They lived in the attic or in the basement, but they lived in the house. They were the direct armor bearers or direct assistants or whatever you want to call them for the plantation overlords. Now you have to understand, these plantation overlords had 50, 100, they had a lot of slaves out there. So the goal of the house Negro was to make sure to keep an eye on the field Negroes and make sure they stay on the plantation. So when Frederick Douglass tried to escape multiple times, it was the house Negro, because the plantation owner, he has no idea what's happening on the field. He really doesn't. A little chatter and this and that. He needs his spies to go in and do that. And it was the house Negro's job to understand who's thinking about making an escape and then publicly humiliate them, castigate them, and snitch to the overlord, saying, look, tomorrow Freddie's gonna make an escape. And so that's the house Negro. The field Negro is the one that says, look, I don't care what I have to do. I'll put my life at risk. I'll risk everything. I'm going to leave this plantation. I know that I have innate rights that doesn't include slavery. God gave me inalienable rights. They just intuited. They knew that it was them and God, and there should be no man over them, lording over them in that way. So they did whatever it took to leave the plantation. The overlord, of course, is explanatory. It's the plantation overlord. He was the one that he managed the affairs of the entire plantation, made sure that everybody was under his auspices and control. And so those are the three distinctions. Now, today in American politics, the reason why I say it's inescapable is because people in American politics today, when you see Joy Reid, Bill Maher, The View, all of these people get shrill and hysterical about people, especially Black people, wanting to vote a different way this time. They lose it. They're completely apoplectic. I mean, they just go crazy. And so it was driving me nuts. Like, these people are very smart people. They're intelligent. They're smart. Why do they have such a visceral reaction when people just want to do something different? And so this characterization helps because, they're under the pathology of a house Negro. They have to keep everybody on the plantation. They're being compensated to do that. So their media companies, their social credibility, social cred, the elite parties that they participate in mandate that they keep everybody on the plantation. The field Negroes are people that operate under that pathology are people like us. No, you're not going to tell me how to vote. You're not going to, be an authoritative, totalitarian government that lords over me. And no, I don't want any parts of that. I'm going to escape. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I don't care how many pejoratives you launch at me. I don't care how many times you try to deride me and my family for being different. Doesn't matter. I'm going to do me. It's me and God, and that's it. So we're all of the pathology of the field Negro.
Well, I
The
love
overlord-
Dr. Kevin how you made this not about race, because I think the liberals and BLM specifically would like to say that because of the color of my skin, I'm an overlord, but that's not what you're saying.
No. Anybody. This has nothing to do with ethnicity, skin color, nothing. These are archetypes. These are psyches that drive and motivate us to act a certain way when it comes to the landscape of American politics. In that regard, the overlord would be George Soros, Fox News, the Murdochs family, Disney. These are Zuckerbucks. These people are tied into the globalist infrastructure. They seriously want to depopulate the planet so they can have greater and greater control over what happens in the planet at a micro and macro level. So their depopulation goals are, it's manifestly evil, but this is what drives them, right? So anybody in that realm, that would be Obama. He's an overlord. I would have said that he would be a house Negro, but he is tied into the globalist cabal now. So Obama, Winfrey, not quite sure. She could be the overlord, but I think she's probably operating under the house Negro pathology right now. So it doesn't even matter whether you're a billionaire yet. Magic Johnson came out and talked about, I'm with her, I'm with Kamala. Now he is a house Negro. He's not in that globalist cabal that wants to run the world, but he's doing his duty to bring about that. Even though I think
an interesting name that's been in the news recently has been Steph Curry, right? Because
Steph's definitely a house Negro. He fits in that house Negro pathology. Yeah.
He's come out, he's a Christian, but I'm with her, right? So continue on.
And in this book, I characterize the pastors. So you got your Beth Moores and your John. Well, not Piper, he's passed, but you got. You got Platt, you got, all of these others that are sort of syncretizing with culture. They're operating, even though they're quote unquote pastors, they're following the pathology of a house Negro. They know better, but they're willing to subvert their faith foundations. They're willing to subvert what they know to be true in order to get a certain amount of social credibility or in order to maintain the tradition that they were raised in. And that would be vote.
Essentially, they're selling out their soul to the devil.
Yeah. So I call names in this book. So nobody's. I mean, your best known people in all of these categories will be written, and you could see. Oh, The View. House Negroes. Joy Reid, Bill Maher, all these folks, doesn't matter about skin color. They'll all be called out. Steph Curry, Magic Johnson, so yeah. So we're going to cover the whole gamut. That book should be ready to be released in about a month. So
nice. I will ask your opinion about this. What category would Martin Luther King fall under? And also, in your opinion, why do liberals always push his rhetoric but ignore Malcolm X when Malcolm X was talking about the Constitution and all sorts of like American things? And why do you think they're so adamant about pushing MLK? He's in McDonald's cups. I mean, he's everywhere. And
yeah. Well, my brother Vince Ellison, I see that you had him up. You had his clips, and I was with him a couple weeks ago in Georgia. He did a great job of really illuminating Dr. MLK and his actual history. So Dr. MLK, because he was strongly influenced by socialist communists, would fall under the House Negro syndrome, House Negro pathology. I didn't know that. I didn't know a whole lot about Dr. MLK's allegiance to globalist schemes, like socialist, communists, and depopulation by way of Planned Parenthood, which apparently he signed on to. But now he would fit under that House Negro syndrome. Yeah. So here's the thing: the book, we don't have to hyperventilate about you are House Negro. You are. Look, I'm proudly a field Negro, right? I fit under that pathology 100%. That's who I am. I have no problem saying that. If I had to nail it down to one of those three pathologies, I'm a field Negro. No problem. The same way with when we call out these House Negroes, they should say, Joy Reid should just stand up on her set and say, yeah, Kev, he fully described me. I'm fitting under that House Negro syndrome because I am being paid by my overlords in the media and globalists and all of that. So yeah, I carry that out. It should be no problem. We don't have to have an emotional conversation about it. This is just the way it is.
Well,
so
except
we should
for
be
they
able to
try to
see it.
deny that that's what they're doing.
Yeah, but their actions, you look at the characterizations, you look at their actions. It's like, come on, stop playing it, So I think the other thing that we really wanted to get to is what's going to happen in this election, and with that as a backdrop, the reality is that we have a lot of people that are so sanctimonious. Well, I don't like Trump's stance on abortion because he's changed and blah 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 and this and that, and he's really not a Christian now because he's still cursing. What I'm telling people is, look, stop it. We're beyond the simple, trite, stuff that you would want to try to derive whether you would vote for this person or that person. We're beyond that because we have things that have already been cemented via this corrupt government over the past 3.5 years, starting with the central bank digital currencies. Executive Order 14067 that Biden signed in his second year in office. And basically all of the banks had to be able to accommodate the digital currency and put restrictions on buying rights of individuals and all that. So all of that is in place. As of last year, December 31st, all of our major banks, Chase, Citibank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, all of them have said, look, we're ready. Next financial crisis, we're going to flip the switch, and we're ready to go with central bank digital currencies. So that is one issue that is on the precipice. All we need is another financial crisis. We're done. The other one is the World Health Organization that this administration was all about to sign in May and put us under the control of the World Health Organization's subverting our constitutional rights.
So what happened with that, by the way?
They took it off the table and said, we'll do it next year, because they knew that if they did that, game over, they wouldn't get voted in again. So they're going to do it in this, after the election. They tried to put it off a year because they said we can do it next year. So that's coming next year, and we're going to have, by God's grace, we're going to have a man in office that's going to say, get out of here with that foolishness.
Well, and I think, Dr. Kevin, it's important for us to underscore and highlight the difference between the globalists, which is Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and George Soros, and all of those guys, and Trump, who is very much in opposition to the globalists. And that, by the way, the deep state and the globalists are the ones who are against Trump. And I think it's important that people forget so easily, Dr. Kevin, but pay attention to everyone else in the presidency for the past 20 years is best friends. Right?
Yeah.
You got the Bushes, you got the Obamas, you got the Clintons, you got the Bidens, you got Kamala. All of them are best friends, and we've been saying, everyone who's been paying attention, Dr. Kevin, you'd be in this group, Jarrett would be in this group, many of our listeners and viewers, you guys would be in this group, but they're two sides of the same coin, and we've been saying that forever. Trump is a threat to their agenda.
Exactly.
And he is in opposition to what they are trying to push, and that's why they hate him. And that alone should be a wake-up call and a big part of the reason why we should be voting for him, because he's not part of that system.
Right, exactly right. He is the disruptor globally, and so we have all of these cabals. We've had a uniparty here. We didn't know it. We didn't sense it until Trump comes in, and then we see all of these Republicans, peeling off, and we said, "Wow, we've been under control of a uni-party apparatus," and we had no idea. But Trump is a disruptor, and we can now clearly see. So the other thing that we have to remember going into this election is the BRICS currencies. This is Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and South Africa. The BRICS currencies is now really competing with our petrodollar. So all of these influences will converge, cascade and converge upon a Kamala Harris presidency, if that were to happen. And we will have our next financial crisis, and then we'll be swallowed into this global reset apparatus that the World Economic Forum has been trying to do for the past 10 years. So this is it. Do you want to be a globalist commie society, or do you want to be a free America? That's it. Forget all of the crazy stuff about, well, he's an abortion. I don't like what his stance on this. I don't like what. Stop it. We're beyond that. We're beyond that point. I mean,
well, and Dr. Kevin, I think most of the things that, even some of the things you just mentioned, most of the things that people are saying they don't like about Trump are not even true in the first place. It's just liberal talking points.
Exactly. So we play into the hands of the liberals if they can keep us home. So what they're doing is they're saying, look, we create enough dissension, even amongst people of faith, to keep them not voting and keep them at home. And that'll help drive us, because here's what happens. So some people say, well, I'm just not going to vote, or I'm going to have a righteous vote. I'm going to vote for Mickey Mouse, or I'll vote for Rand Paul, or I'll vote. Stop it. When you do that, you are voting for Kamala Harris and the Biden administration. You do know that, right? Everybody, here's the dirty little secret that we all need to kind of grow up, put our big boy and big girl pants on, and recognize. Everybody in America is voting. Everybody over 18 is voting. Everybody. If you're an American city over 18, you're voting. Now, there's two different kinds of votes. There's a passive vote and there's an active vote. A passive vote would be a vote for the status quo. That would be when you write in some crazy third party or third person, that vote is not counted. It's not counted. Mm-hmm. And that vote goes to the status quo. So literally, when you say, oh, I'm going to be sanctimonious, I'm going to write in Jesus Christ, you're voting for Kamala. But that's what you're doing. It's a passive vote. You're voting for Kamala. Okay, so the only way that we can break now, if you love what's going on right now, you love the inflation, you love the fact that our elderlies and seniors have to go back to work at McDonald's and Walmart and Target and do that, you love that. Then okay, fine. It doesn't matter. I'm not talking to you. You're crazy Marxist commie, and you love what's happening, and you love being part of a communist globalist thing. Great, you got your vote. That's Kamala. If, however, you don't like that, you do want to preserve a modicum of traditional America for your kids and grandkids, that you have to actively vote.
There's no other choice
for somebody who is actually on the ballot in all 50 states and who can actually, your vote will actually count towards his election.
Yeah.
That's it. There is no in between, folks. There is no sanctimonious vote this time. We're at the precipice.
Well, and
So I hope that's clear enough for you guys, that I'm making it clear enough that we're at the precipice and we're at the end.
And when you mentioned that people kind of throw away their votes or vote for things that go against them, I started noticing that trend with, Black and brown communities. So many people are saying, I'm with her just because she's a woman. I'm with her just because she's Black and brown, but not looking in their refrigerator or looking at their gas tank.
Right.
Why is it? Well, for me, why does this feel so
against yourself?
Yes. So why have Black people, still, in lack of better words, why are Black people staying on this Democratic plantation even though the gate's open?
Well, because there's enough of the media that are under the pathology of the house Negro to make sure that they put enough talking points out there to confuse people, not have them focus on their own pocketbooks and have them focus on these arbitrary, characterizations, positive and negative on either side. And so they're driving the narrative. And now, and because of that, there's some people that we will not be able to meet, right? Your Black, highly educated females are, they've been schooled in Marxism for a long time. They're fully indoctrinated in Marxism for a long time. And therefore, that's a hard vote. We're probably not going to peel. We'll probably peel off some, but that vote is straight, going to be Kamala, because that's just how they do it, right? But those who have a modicum of common sense and independence in that, those that fit the pathology of the field Negro, they don't care what's what, who's who. They're just going to vote for what's in their best interest. Now, if you don't care about infanticide, you say, look, yeah, we should go ahead and have the baby and then slaughter it on the table and piece it out, and that's no problem. Then fine, you have your vote. That's what Kamala wants to do. That's no problem. You got your vote. But if you do care about that, let's say you're a person of faith and you say, look, I think that's wrong. Then you have your vote. I mean, you see, this is the starkest reality that we have to in this election. It's really not close at all on either side.
Yeah.
And so let's stop, trying to blur the lines and have these false characterizations and try to make people not see what's really in front of us. We have a stark reality. If you want communism, globalism, infanticide, depopulation, all that stuff, great, you got your vote, no problem. If you want to preserve American tradition, American history, you want somebody that's going to stand in the gap and be that, that sort of hammer that's going to keep the globalists away, then you have your vote. That would be Trump.
Well,
so that's where we are. Yeah.
Dr. Kevin, I know your organization does a lot, and so you're going to speak up about this as well. But the question I asked for a long time is, what can I do? What can I do to make a difference? Yeah, I can vote. That's one man, one vote, right? As it should be. But what can I do beyond that? And part of what I'm doing beyond that is this show and what we're doing at 511. But we have put out a resource, which if you guys want the resource, just put playbook in the comments. But we put together a faith-based, conservative-based playbook on how you can help grassroots activism. Also, there is an organization that Jared and I are somewhat connected to, and Jarrett, you can go ahead and speak on this too, because I know you have to have a delineation between the two. But TP Action, you guys go to tpaction.com, and they're doing a lot to get out the vote. You can do that regardless, and I'm in California. You can do that regardless of what state you're in. You can commit to contacting 100 people in those swing states, those important swing states. You can commit to if you're willing and able to get to one of those swing states, you can actually join what they have is called a super chase event. So you can get out there and actually go knock on doors and help make a difference out there. But guys, they have an app. Go download it. It's on the Apple Store. I believe it's on Google Store as well. tpaction.com. You can get a hold of that. But Jarrett, go ahead and say whatever you need to say about that too.
Yeah, we can connect you guys with the Action Group. They're our 501c4. I'm part of the 501c3. Part of the faith division. We do this because, again, full disclosure, the IRS comes after conservative groups. They're under the attack. So we make sure to keep everything separate. Even if you go to our headquarters in Arizona, the 501c4 is an entirely separate building because again, we like to do things the right way. We do it by the book, and we can't ask other people to live up to a standard if we're not doing it ourselves. So we do everything by the book, guys, but we'll connect you with the action team. And again, voting is so important. I think this is something that everyone needs to focus on. So chase after the votes, get people to turn out. So Dr. Kevin, if I can ask you a question about people who are Christian voters, but who are on the fence with Trump, right? Because they feel like they don't want to vote for lesser of two evils. What would you tell them?
Yeah, so what I have this conversation frequently, and so I encourage them. First of all, you have a choice. Well, I just don't want to vote at all, and I say, okay, go to Exodus 18. Look at 18, starting at verse 18 to 23. This is so what I describe here is what was happening. So Moses goes to Jethro and he complains. He says, "Look, we're spread out like the sand on the sea. I mean, we got so many people. They're all coming to me with their problems, and I'm just one man. I can't handle it." And Jethro went to God, and God then told Jethro what to do. He says, "Look, this is what you tell Moses. You tell him to split them up in these different tribes, and for them to choose their representative for their tribe." This is where we get our representative government. This is literally, the Bible gave us the model for what we're under right now. Okay. And he says, have them choose people based on these characterizations, godly, God-fearing men, people that won't take bribes, these types of things. He gives us all the characterizations there. And he says, do this as I command. So when we have Christians that will not vote, just understand you are going against a command that God established for how we were supposed to, operate civically. He established it. This is a command, right? So this is his model. And if you are a good, committed Christian, you want to follow God's model, then you do that. Now, when it says, look, this is just a lesser of two evils, it's fine, it's no problem. Either vote is an evil vote. Well, no, that's actually, you're completely inaccurate. And so let me tell you, let me take you through it. So, if you look at, if you look at what is a righteous vote versus a non-righteous vote, take a look at Genesis. Now, I'll go to Genesis because it gets us out of this sort of nebulous, tax laws and all these other things that could be spread throughout the Bible. We want to focus on foundationally what God did. If you go to Genesis 1, God created the heavens and the earth, right? That's what he did. So that means that I'm going to vote for somebody that acknowledges that God created the heaven and the earth, that the world is not going to burn up in the next 15 years if we don't do this, and this, and march the orders of globalist climate activists, because they didn't create the earth. They have no idea what they're talking about. God created the heaven and the earth by his sovereign will. The earth is still here and it's fine. Okay. Now we should be good stewards of it, but to be hyperventilating about we're in complete control over what happens on it, it's ridiculous. Okay. God created it. That's Number right. Two, I'm going to vote for somebody that because God created male and female, Adam and Eve, right? And XX and XY chromosomes. So that means I vote for somebody that says, look, there's two genders, there's two sexes, male and female. That's it. Those who say, no, there's 140 different genders and 140, God made mistakes and people who put people in the wrong body. That's not a righteous vote. Okay. So that's two criteria. God created heaven and the earth, and God created male and female. I want to vote for somebody that believes in foundationally what God believed in, right? What God did. And then God said, be fruitful and multiply. So that's the third principle that we look at. So I'm going to vote for somebody then that doesn't want to prevent life from coming forth by way of abortion and all these other antics. I'm going to vote for somebody that's in alignment with what God commanded us to do. Be fruitful and multiply. So if you just look at those criteria, foundationally and fundamentally what God intends for the earth, vote based on that.
That's right.
And it's stark. So you vote based on that for your president. You vote based on that for your representatives in Congress. You vote based on that for your senators. You vote based on that with your state leaders. Oh, you just want me to vote Republican? No, I said nothing about Republican or Democrat. This is not about that. This is about foundationally and principally you doing what God is expecting you to do as a child of God.
Well, in fact, Dr. Kevin, we specifically said Republican and Democrat are two sides of the same coin. We said that earlier in the show. This isn't about
right.
Republican, Democrat. This is about who's standing for what you believe in.
That's right. And so that's how you do it. So people say, well, what if I just vote my values? No, because your value may be, I want a woman this time. We don't want you to vote your values.
Yeah.
We want you to vote God's will for the earth.
This is good.
Okay. So this is beyond your values. Well, what if I just vote, what if I just vote, my faith? Well, within the body of Christ, believe it or not, there's all kinds of faith paradigms that are really outside of God's will. So no, voting what you interpret as your faith is not a good thing. Let's just vote principally what Genesis 1 is. Can we do that together?
Yeah.
Now, some people would say, look, I get you, but this is my vote and I think I should vote for, I say, no, let me correct you. This is not your vote. This is a problem within the body of Christ, and it's a big problem. This is not your vote. This is God's vote. Well, how are you saying this is God's vote? Well, okay. When you accepted Christ as Savior and Lord, do you know what Lord means? That means he is your master.
That's right.
That means you have no more rights. It's all deferred to him. So if Jesus is your Lord, that means it's his vote. You don't even have to have any emotions about it. It's him. So if you say, look, I don't think I want to vote Genesis 1. Okay, you're saying, look, I don't care what you say, Lord. I want to take my authority and just do what I want with it. If you're under the lordship of Christ, you recognize that, look, I don't have to feel anything about voting strictly to the word of God because it's his vote. I'm his. It's just the way it is. Fine. No problem. So when I didn't vote for Obama either time, people would try to jam me up all the time. Yeah, man, why did you vote for the brother? I said, look, man, I may have wanted somebody black and that and off, but it's not my vote. Then they look at me like, man, what you talking about, man? And then I have to go through this explanation.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So we get mixed up and we get emotionally intertwined in foolishness when it's all about him. So what are we talking about here?
That's right.
Right.
So, Dr. Kevin, I wish we had more time. We're definitely going to bring you back, brother.
Yes.
We got some panels coming up and all sorts of stuff that I know you're an expert on. And looking forward to having you. I was literally I was literally messaging my team that I love Dr. Kevin. I love everything he's saying. So guys, we're definitely going to have Dr. Kevin back in the near future. But I wish we had more time to have this conversation. Guys, thank you all for watching. Dr. Kevin, thank you for being here. Y'all have a great day. God bless.
God bless.